What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Fast Break Tundra Baller. I am finally back, and this might be a face reveal if you guys are seeing me for the first time. And last episode, we had Carlos Zamudio here, and probably face revealed with him too. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. It's really ready to talk about basketball. It's been a very, I guess, anticlimactic last couple weeks. A lot of surprises, a lot happening. Since the last time we talked. So I'm excited.
So a lot of things going on in the conference finals. So let's talk about the East first. So it was a really like for Cavaliers, they were just dominating, and then yeah, 22-point lead with about 8 minutes, 7 minutes to go, and then just Jalen Brunson just attacking James Harden and attacking him. And Brunson, he had a lot of points. He had about 17 points in fourth quarter and overtime. Just really crazy. And a lot of people were talking about James Harden, just being a cone. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I thought it was really, really fitting for James Harden to really end the his playoff season like that. Such a disappointment for the Cavs after, really grinding the last two rounds part of the conference finals. They went to game seven with Toronto. They went to game seven with Detroit, able to get out of that. And, you know, it was really hard to watch them play after game one. They had it all in that first game against New York. And then, once that collapse happened, they just were not only able to recover from that, but it seemed like they just ran out of juice, the Knicks just kept on picking at James Harden like throughout that series, and it was set in stone right there. Uh, Obviously, very disappointing for the Cavs, who honestly I expected so much more out of in that conference finals. I thought that they would win maybe two, maybe three games. I thought they would definitely make it a series against New York, but uh, watching that four-game series, if there's anything that's shown me, it's that the Knicks are they're a really, really heavy, they're a really heavy team, I think they have a legit shot of winning the finals. I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but they're just really well rounded. They're a really good basketball team. They have all the right pieces to go out there and win the chip. But as for the Cavs, as we were talking about, uh, yeah, such a disappointing ending. James Harden should definitely get a lot of the blame for it. And this is something that we just been accustomed to seeing from him, always shining away from, these elimination games, right? Even in the game sevens that they won against Toronto and Detroit, he still struggled, and he's lucky that, he had Donovan Mitchell to bail him out. But obviously, yeah, just really disappointing for the Cavs, really disappointing for Harden, who I expected more in this conference finals. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like he had more like there were a lot of games in his career, a lot of years that, he would play really good during the regular season and then in the playoffs, his numbers would just dip and like it just shows like a quarter of his playoff games, he's played about 190 playoff games and he has more turnovers than field goal makes in 25% of them. So it was just really disappointing. Like here in game one, James Harden, he had 5 field goal makes and 6 turnovers. And especially in the last game too, he he had uh he had a lot of turnovers too. Like I'm looking for the stats here. He has 5 turnovers on 2 field goal makes, you know. And in the last game, they were just getting killed. Like they almost lost by 50. And, it's just like a desperation. It was kind of like when the Knicks played against the Hawks in that last game. They lost about 50 or 60 points. So so what do you think? Like, James Harden like wanted to, you know, he wanted to win. And with the Clippers, they were at 6-21 at one point, and then they had a good momentum, and then at the trade deadline, it was like, you know what, trade me to the Cavs. So, do you think that like if when the Clippers came into the postseason, Do you think it would have been different if he would have stayed?
Well, I'm not really sure to be honest. As you mentioned, the Clippers got off to that horrid 6-21 start, and then they got off. Then they went on this crazy run, had a really crazy turnaround to their season. But then they traded Harden in the middle of the season away for Darius Garland, which honestly I thought that was a good move. The Clippers need youth. That's the one thing that they really lacked this past season. A lot of old guys around that team, and they're very lucky to have that number five pick as they go into the draft. But for the Cavs, I thought that was also a good move for them. Um, they have always been coming up short the last 2 or 3 seasons ever since they added Donovan Mitchell to their roster. And, with last season being a complete failure as the number one seed, winning 64 games, going out like that to the Indiana Pacers, they needed to find a way. They needed to find something to help Donovan Mitchell, you know, get this load off his back, right? I mean, he is by far Cleveland's best player, and without him, they wouldn't even be in this situation. And that's why they went out there and got James Harden, who, he took a lot of the weight off of Donovan Mitchell, right? We've seen how good Harden can be as, either as probably the second best player on the team. We saw on the Clippers when he was behind Kawhi Leonard. We saw on the Sixers when he was Joel Embiid in the regular season, but in the postseason, it seems like the switch just flips and he just completely disappears as the second option, right? We saw it in Philadelphia, um, 2 for 11 in Game 7 against Boston. They lost that year when they could have made the conference finals. We saw it the last 2 seasons with the Clippers where he just completely vanished in the postseason against Dallas and Denver. And yeah, the Cavs they had a deep playoff run. They made it to the conference finals. Uh, Big thanks to Donovan Mitchell who helped make that happen, along with the nice players that they have like Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and James Harden, who again as I mentioned, like he did not like help the Cavs in these wins in these elimination games, right? And again, in Game 7, Toronto struggled to shoot the ball, wasn't shooting the ball well. He was I don't recall the stats, but in Game 7, he only had what, like 10, 11 points in that game. Like
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell bailed him out. The whole team bailed him out. They played so well that like everybody forgot that James Harden had a horrible game. And if they didn't play well, then all the focus would have been on Harden. So yeah, um, I I still think it was a good move because they still made it this far. Obviously, they could have done better. They blew that Game 1 and then they just got smacked the rest of the way. So, the Cavs they have a very interesting offseason ahead of them because I believe James Harden's a free agent. So they need to think about whether they're going to bring him back or not. I think he's on an option deal, right? I think it's like
I think he
he's got
might
one more
be.
year. He
Yeah.
can opt out. He can opt out of his deal. So yeah, um I think the Cavs have a very interesting offseason ahead of them. I don't know if they're gonna bring him back. I don't know if they're gonna let him walk. Um, they need to start thinking about how they can make this roster better with still having Donovan Mitchell in the picture. Because I don't think it's a question that he'll stay. I think he'll stay. I don't think this will be the end of his Cavs career. But um, they have to turn it around now if they want to make any noise going into future postseasons because I believe that this was one of their best shots of really making the finals. That Game 1 looked so promising for them. They blew it and they just could never recover from that. So yeah, I think the Cavs have a very serious dilemma with James Harden. Uh, there are some cases where they could bring him. There's some good cases to bring him back, but there are also some valid reasons of why not to bring him back, right? So, yeah, I think Harden definitely helped this Cavs team in the regular season. Because the Cavs, similar to the Clippers, although not as dire, they got up to a very rocky start. Not a 6-21 start, but they still had a lot of questions, as the season went on, and then they turned it around, and then they made that trade for James Harden. And again, I thought it was a good trade at the time. James Harden, we all know who he is, what he's capable of, and yeah, Darius Garland, very good player. We've seen how good he can become, and honestly, I just thought him going to the Clippers was probably, the best thing that could have happened to him because now, he'll be able to learn from a lot of the vets on that team who have championship experience, right? Like Kawhi Leonard's won two chips with the Spurs and Raptors. Brooke Lopez, he won a chip with the Bucks, and he has an opportunity to grow along with whoever the Clippers pick at number 5 in the draft. But yeah, to wrap it off, yeah, I think James Harden, that was a good deal for the Cavs, but now they need to think about whether he will help them make the finals. I think that's like the number one goal for them right there. Make the finals, or if there's someone that, you know, could be better in his shoes.
Yeah, like I think that the Cavs they definitely had a good shot at it too. Like Donovan Mitchell, he had a great playoffs too. Like even though they besides game one they played really bad. Well, the fourth quarter and overtime they played really bad in game one. But Donovan Mitchell, especially in the elimination game, he had 31 points, 9 for 18 shooting. So like he didn't really like on in the starting lineup here on the stats I'm looking for right now, like Max Strus, 2 for 6. Evan Mobley, okay, pretty good, 7 for 15 too. But James Harden, they 2 for 8. But the Knicks, they were playing really good. They've won 11 games in a row so far, and that is a pretty big deal. And they had an average margin of victory of 23.7 points. So this is a really big deal too. And in that comeback, it was one of the biggest comebacks in the playoffs in the fourth quarter, a 22-point comeback. Coincidentally, the biggest comeback is by the Clippers in the postseason in the fourth quarter ever when they were down 24 against the Grizzlies in 2012. But they just had big runs. It's all about the NBA. It's a big game of runs. No lead is safe, especially with all the scoring in the NBA right now. They had a 18-1 run in the fourth quarter in game one, and then you had an 18-0 run in game two, and then in game four, just a lot of runs. They were winning by a lot, and their first finals appearance since 1999. So 27 years or so, and yeah, so it was just really big. So do you have any more thoughts before we go to the West?
Yeah, I mean, the New York Knicks they've shown that they are by far the best team in the Eastern Conference. I don't think I think, whoever they face in these finals, either San Antonio or Oklahoma City, they have to treat this team with respect because this team, they will run you out of the gym. They have one of the best offenses in the NBA. Their pacing is unbelievable. I mean, we've seen the Knicks just run these teams out of the gym. We saw that series against Atlanta. After they were down 2-1, they never looked back. They won the next three. They blew them out in Atlanta in game six. And then they swept the Sixers, and I don't want to discredit Philadelphia because they did beat the Celtics in that first round. And that was a crazy first round. They were down 3-1. Um, Crazy performances from Joel Embiid and VJ and Tyrese Maxey, but the Knicks were always the better team. I mean, they just ran them out of the gym, right? It was a sweep, and then they did the same thing with the Cavs. So I think whoever comes out of the Western Conference, they have to treat this team. They have to take this serious. I mean, of course they should, but this New York team, I think they're really dangerous, and they definitely have a legit shot of winning an NBA title. I mean, Jalen Brunson, you have to give him credit. A couple years back, Becky Hammond said that Jalen Brunson could not be a 1A option on a championship team, and voila, the Knicks are in the finals for the first time since 1999. And if it weren't for Jalen Brunson, then they would not be there in that spot. So Jalen Brunson, one of the best point guards in the league. He has a perfect complement partner in Karl Anthony Towns, who has gotten a lot of criticism in the last couple of years, but you have to give him credit. I mean, he was the perfect piece that New York needed to make this finals run. He is an established big who has a great offensive game. He can shoot the three ball. He's got a lot of post moves, and he just impacts this Knicks team in such a positive way. Not to mention, everybody else along with it. Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart coming off the bench. You have Deuce McBride, who's seems like he's always making big time shots coming off the bench. You have Mitchell Robinson, the perfect rim protector for New York, and you got you got some guys who get sneaky minutes in there like Jordan Clarkson, Jose Alvarado. Um, yeah, this New York team is really good. They're really scary, and I definitely expect for them to give any of those West teams a run for their money, whoever comes out of the Western Conference Finals.
Oh yeah, and speaking of Mitchell Robinson, do you hear that he broke his pinky?
I did hear about that. I was
Yeah,
very surprised to hear about
yeah,
that, but I think he'll be okay. I don't think he's
yeah,
missing. I don't think he'll miss a game in these finals unless it's like a crazy injury. I don't think it should be. I don't think it was that. I mean, it's a broken pinky
yeah,
finger, so
yeah.
but I think he'll be ready to go in these finals. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, especially like a broken pinky is not like a broken arm or a broken leg or something. So nothing so bad. Although broken bones is bad, but should be okay. So um, you know, going on to the Western Conference Finals now. You know, it's still going on right now, and Game 7 is tomorrow. Pretty big deal. You know, two of the best teams of the West. They're going at it. Wemby versus Shea. And game one, you know, it started off with a bang too, like how it went into overtime in the East, and it went into double overtime in the West this game, and it was just really crazy. Like, you know, they had a lead most of the game, the Spurs, and then they came back or yeah, the OKC came back, and then yeah, and then Champagny, you know, were hitting threes, and then Shea and Wemby, they were exchanging shots, and then overtime, and then you know, as everybody saw in overtime, Wemby he shot from a parking lot. It was kind of like that Curry shot back in like 2016 or so with that Mike Breen famous one. Did you have a timeout? He decided not to use it, and then bang, he hit that from the parking lot, logo shot, and yeah, and then they just dominated in overtime and double overtime. So what do you think about that? Like game one, man, that was crazy.
Yeah, two
Yeah,
of the best teams in the Western Conference Finals going at it. It's like watching two heavyweight boxers, duking it out in 12 rounds. And now we're going into the last round of this series. So, yeah, not really a surprise to me. I knew this was definitely going to be a classic Western Conference Finals just because how powerful, how good those two teams really are. Oklahoma City, prior to the conference finals, they haven't lost a game. There's been no team that's been able to challenge them like the Spurs have. The Spurs, although be it, they did have a bit of a rocky. They've had their ups and downs in the playoffs, but for most of their playoff run, they've been really good, and we just seen how good they can be. I guess the real frustrating part about San Antonio is how inconsistent they can be at times. We saw in Game Five, to putting whoever up 3-2, Wembanyama struggled. Um, Shot the ball poorly. He wasn't as effective as he was in the paint, really. And that's what really, caught me off guard. I expected Wemby to just really show his aggression, and that didn't happen in game five, but it definitely happened in game six, blowing out Oklahoma City 110 to 84. Um, but San Antonio is going to need Wemby to play at a God mode in game seven. They're going to need him to just completely take over. And I'm not saying, give the ball to Wemby and forget about everybody else because San Antonio has a lot of playmakers, especially at their guards position. You got De'Aaron Fox, the rookie Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell. You have the sixth man of the year, Keldon Johnson. They have all these different scorers, these different playmakers, and also not to mention how good of defenders these guys really are. They can give Oklahoma City a lot of trouble, and we've seen that in a couple of their games, but also we've seen Oklahoma City been able to overcome that kind of thing. And as for the Thunder, um, Honestly, I've been watching them with close interest, and it's been kind of a weird series for them. They've been able to take over games, and then there's other games where you saw what happened in Game 6. The opportunity to put them away. I believe that whoever won Game 5 could win the series, and Oklahoma City's opportunity right there slipped out of their hands, but they still have Game 7 on the road, or excuse me, at home, in Oklahoma City. So I'm interested to see how they're going to come out, how they're going to respond to this call. Uh, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander still proving why he is one of the best players in the league. Um, and the support he has is just really crazy. Not to, of course, we all know about Chet Holmgren. We know about Alex Caruso, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. We know about Hartenstein, how crazy his rebounding is. But I think their bench is really, and I'm not the biggest Oklahoma City Thunder fan, but just watching their bench is just really impressive. Jared McCain, who started for OKC, in place of Jalen Williams, he's played really well, right? He's exactly what the Thunder needed. Not to mention the other J Dub, the big man. He's gotten really solid minutes along with Casey Wallace and the other Williams. You know, they just been playing really well as a unit. It's not just SGA, it's not just Holmgren, but it's just the togetherness that Oklahoma City has um as a unit. So yeah, this Game 7, man, I'm really excited to see what happens. Again, it's a heavyweight battle. I think this could be another replication of Game 1. Maybe not double overtime, but it's definitely going to go down the wire. Both teams are not going to go down easy, and I'm really excited to see what happens tomorrow in OKC.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. So, you know, game five, yeah, a lot of controversy. You probably saw, I was watching the game and, that missed goaltend, like they were down 20, the Spurs, and they came back a little bit. They brought it to what I believe around 8 points. They were hitting a good amount of threes. And then yeah, that missed goaltend, Luke Cornett, he tipped the ball back in, and then Casey Wallace just hit it. And then yeah, it was obviously the ball going down, then he hit it, so it was obviously a goaltend. And then the next play, Wemby, the ball got hit, and then it went off Holmgren's foot, and then Mitch Johnson, he tried to challenge it, and then yeah, the refs apparently didn't see it, so it was just a lot of like they were just really, really mad. So like it was just a lot of controversy. I mean, I don't think that like in the fourth quarter, I mean, it did change the momentum of the game, but I don't think that like the way they played, I don't think that you know what I mean, like they wouldn't they wouldn't win the game because they were missing a lot of shots. But do you think those two plays it changed the momentum of the game?
Well, I think Game 5 was kind of a snow, it was a big snowball for San Antonio. A lot of things didn't go right for them, even though they were still in the game. But eventually, like, they made a lot of boneheaded mistakes, right? They had a lot of turnovers in that game, right? Uh, Calls didn't go their way, but also this has been a really physical series between both teams where the officiating, they've let a lot of things go when they should be called fouls. Um, but Game 5 was just a really snowball of just going down the wrong way for San Antonio. Just accounting with that, with the missed shots and the missed calls and the turnovers. Yeah, definitely led to them losing Game 5, but they bounced back really well in Game 6. I mean, they got to that crazy start. Wembanyama hitting two threes to start the game, and then having two blocks, and then just really getting going for the rest of the night, along with the rest of his team. So if San Antonio wants, if they want to win this Game 7, then they have to be as perfect as possible, honestly. And they can play perfect. I again, this is the best team that this is the best team that Oklahoma City has matched up against because there has been no other team in the West that could match up well with them as good as San Antonio can. So, yeah, I think Game Five was just definitely a misstep for the Spurs. They got it right in Game Six. Now it's all about getting it right in Game Seven, and I think both teams are going to come out swinging. It's going to be, you know, we see how good, how great both teams are. So. Um, it's all about really who makes the first mistake, right? In that series, that'll kind of set the tone. And for San Antonio, they can't let that happen, considering they're playing on the road at Oklahoma. Excuse me, at Oklahoma City, and you know, one of the best home courts in the league, if for being completely honest. So, um, yeah, I think the Spurs have to set the tone right. They have to play perfect. They have to limit the turnovers. They can't let any of these missed calls get to their head because we've seen again. You mentioned we've seen how these missed calls have affected them. We saw Mitch Johnson get that technical foul, trying to call that challenge, couldn't get it right. Um, we've seen all the crazy tweets. We've seen all the crazy pictures of like Isaiah Hardenstein pulling Stephon Castle's hair, or Holmgren tripping Wemby, or all these flops. So. Um, yeah, the Spurs have to set the tone right if they want any shot of winning this, if of winning Game Seven.
Yeah, 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 pretty much. So the you know whoever wins this game, it will be like really competitive. Whoever the next play, you know, it will be very, very competitive. So I'm excited to see who's gonna play against the Knicks because you know they, for the most part, they've won by blowouts or double-digit wins. Like I said earlier, 23 points on average that they're winning by, and I believe only one of them was single digits. Those out of those 11 wins. So it's just really like really it will be really exciting to see who they're gonna play. And yeah, especially game seven. I'm gonna be watching it after work tomorrow. I believe it starts like at 5 or 5:30. So pretty much perfect time. I finish at 5 o'clock tomorrow, so I'll be rushing home when my shift is over. Yeah, yeah, that might be the end of the episode, guys. So do you have anything else to say before we go, Carlos?
Yeah, NBA Finals. It's gonna be crazy. Whoever New York matches up against, win or lose, I already know. Like the whole city of New York is just gonna go absolute bonkers. Might turn into the next Gotham City. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be exciting. To be quite frank with you, I just love it. When I see like a team that's never made the finals in my lifetime just make it for the first time. I saw it last year with the Pacers. I saw it a couple years ago with the Suns and the Bucks. Uh, yeah, I've never seen New York make the NBA finals in my lifetime, and I think this is definitely exciting times. You have to give credit to the Knicks organization for really turning things around. Just if you were to tell a Knicks fan like maybe 8 years ago, like the Knicks would be in this position, they would probably slap you in the face because in the 2010s it was just a really dark time for New York basketball. Even with Carmelo Anthony being on that team, they come a long way from where they are now, right? And again, I think whoever comes out of the West will definitely be it would be New York's first legitimate challenge because both of those West teams are so good. But again, I believe that they could give those teams a run for their money, and it will definitely be a fun series to watch. So, whoever makes it out of the West, and for New York, it's really exciting for them. You got to feel really good about the players, the coaches, the organization, just for really getting back to this glory that they haven't had since the 1990s. When they were one of the premier teams of the Eastern Conference, always going at it with Jordan and the Bulls, or Reggie Miller and the Pacers, or Alonzo Mourning and the Miami Heat. So, yeah, just really exciting for New York, and I cannot wait to see how this NBA Finals will pan out.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. The Knicks, like you said, they were terrible. back in the day, and now they're a really good team, playoffs every time. And, hopefully, if I had to pick, it's going to be really hard, but I'd rather see the Spurs win this game tomorrow. But, but
I
going into
think
the finals, I'm going to see like, I just want to see a good finals.
I think a lot of people are pulling for the Spurs to win Game 7. I think
Yeah,
I've
they
never
don't
seen
want
a
to see
team
Shea.
as I've never seen a team as hated as much as Oklahoma City. Um, but they're just really good. And albeit everybody hates the great teams, and whether you don't want to admit it or not, Oklahoma City is one of the great teams right now. And yeah, they have a good reason to be hated, along with a lot of the controversy, with the flops and the missed calls and the bias. The Spurs are the heroes, I guess, in this situation. So everybody wants to see San Antonio win. But I think whoever wins that series, uh, they will be the best team going into the finals, in my opinion. They will definitely be, the favorites to win. But again, the Knicks will definitely bring them a challenge for sure.
Yeah. So so that is it for this week's episode, guys. I will probably have an episode at least once a week, probably, maybe before the finals starts or a little bit into the finals. But Carlos, thank you for coming in today and, especially in the last episode too. So it will be all on YouTube and make sure you guys check me out on all platforms. And Carlos, do you want to give out your Instagram so where anybody can find you?
Yeah. Carlos Z Media, follow it, go check it out. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a while since I posted anything on there, but I have to get back to it since the end of the term is right around the corner. So hopefully can try and post some content of some sort on my page. Maybe future podcasts. I don't know yet. You guys could check it out there at Carlos Z Media on Instagram.
All right, guys. So hopefully you guys are having a good day, and I'll see you guys next time.